being honest, she want us to go. We
Yeah,
want
I'm sorry, I forgot to record y'all.
she want us to now come and eat her food. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So she showed me love by action,
Mm-hmm.
but I never knew love like
The
um
feeling and because I'm right there with you. It's like I didn't know how to um when you see the love, it was through material. So I
yeah,
only saw it through, I was getting my hair done. I
yeah,
was going to, going shopping after that. I had everything in the world that I wanted, but there was no, how can I say it? There was no quality time. There was no like spending time with me. There wasn't really getting to know, me. There wasn't really that that wasn't a bond. The only bond that we had was spending money. And I could do that with no question. But I think I mean I understand where you're coming from because it was like then as I got older, even with the abuse, that was another form. Like I told you guys, I was the bot child. And so being the bot child, it was um the bad thing would happen. And then to make up for it or give the recompense, it was like, oh, we'll just take her shopping. Give whatever
right.
she wants. Whatever she wants, she can have it. She can have it. And so you really didn't know, like, well, and so for me, as I got older and then, getting in these relationships, you thought, okay, so he's supposed to, screw you, and then he's supposed to give you some money. Like, where's my gifts? Where's the recompense for me giving myself to you? That is where I got to. And then it was like, I never knew how to teach my kids what love actually look like. Like this is love because we buy them things and that's how it got to. Like, I'm going to make sure you have everything.
Mm-hmm.
But
And that's
giving,
why I didn't give the kisses. See, my mom, she spent time with me, but she half of the time she was on the telephone with her sisters a lot. So I had
Mhm.
to entertain myself. She always liked to be on the phone. My mother had like sisters, and they did the three-way line, and you
Was
call
you
my.
the
Mhm.
only child, Tangy?
No, I got three brothers, but they
Oh,
entertain themselves with each other.
got
But
it.
At
being
that
the
time,
only girl, like you don't have your mother was should have been that piece. Do you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And it should have been that thing where like I got the girliness from my mom. Like I got all that. Like I know how to
yeah.
put on the makeup and the perfume and all that stuff, but it was like that quality time, like and the touch, the physical touch,
Yeah,
girl.
I didn't get that physical touch
Mm-mm,
like
yeah.
kisses and hugs.
No
See, I
hugs and
don't
stuff
give
like
that to
that.
my girls. I
Mm-hmm.
don't still give it today because I don't know how to connect with that. Like this how I give my kids. I'm paying for this lawyer for Mikhail. I work my butt off to pay for that lawyer. I work
Yeah.
my butt off to make sure whatever mistakes he make, I clean it up. Whatever mistakes Sierra make, I clean it up.
Yeah.
Whatever
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the telephone when they crying. I'm
Yeah.
supportive, but I'm not affectionate. That's what I want to say.
yeah.
I give
The
emotion.
compassion, yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
have that. And I think that was so hard for me to connect with a man with. And
Ooh, look at that.
yeah, that was very hard. It's still hard for me to connect with a man, but I'm praying on it because I'm gonna have to loosen up. That's gonna be a challenge for me when I meet a man to connect.
Mhm.
See, and I also made myself masculine a little bit early because I watched how my mother had to be aggressive with my stepfather. She didn't let him mistreat us. She didn't let him whoop us. And when he complained or tried to mistreat us, she just doubled up and got all up in his face. She didn't play that. You was not gonna
Yeah.
mistreat her four kids. They might not have no daddy with them, but hell, you came in this house and you asked to come in this house. So she
Hmm.
used to tell them, you can go out the window of the door, but you ain't gonna mistreat these four.
Yeah.
So I grew up being protected by her. So what I did, I started protecting myself and swore to myself I would never be under a man that's controlling. You would never control my life. I will always be able to take care of myself. I will always
Hmm.
be a working woman. I will always be able. I went out there and learned how to drive. I ran out there when I was like, I got my own banking account. I found my own job. I did what I was gonna do because no man was going to come over me and try to control me.
Hmm.
And I think I took that. And I see my mama stand up to him. So I took that and I just became a roaring lion with that. So when I was into a marriage, if you said, I don't want this damn food you cook, I'd be like, fuck you and the food. Okay, baby.
Uh-oh.
I don't care
Oh,
what
oh,
you eat,
I
you
mean, because
know?
I
oh.
would probably, I think I would be that way too. Like, I'm not a pushover, but I'm very like, I'm
I'm
the person
aggressive
that
when it
I'm
comes to
watching
men.
you. Yeah, so I watch you and I watch how you move. And so what happens with me is I get into the ebb and flow. So how you move is I'm moving. I'm moving just how you moving. So it does seem a little messed up. And then I remember one dude told me, he's like, you just act like you don't care. And I was like, because you act like you don't care. When you start showing me that you care, I'm gonna give you care. Um, you act like you don't care. I'm be nonchalant with your ass too. And that's just the part of me. Like I move the way you move. You moving fucked up. I'm gonna move just as fucked up with you. So I have to learn how to do that as well. One, my daughter, the oldest baby, she taught me really like physical touch. So I remember, oh, that baby used to irritate me. Ooh, she used to put her hand in my face and she just be like, oh, and I'd be like, this little girl. But she taught me love. That was the one. She taught me love. And to this day, that girl see her kids. She's giving her kids hugs. She's squeezing. She's touching. She's doing all that. She even does it with her siblings. That is the one and so your kids will teach you how to do a thing. And then the second one is like, I wasn't happy at all. But when that second one came, that little nigga still make you laugh to this day. You go over her house and she'll tell you a story and she be as serious as all get up. But it's the way she says it and the way she does it makes me laugh. And that's my joy. And then you have like the last two, they bring a lot of things, but your children will really teach you how to be, in life. Um, and my last baby, she does tell me, she's like, she checked me. She said to me, she was trying to hold my hand or something, and I kind of was like, ugh, like, Miss Tangi, like, be like, ugh, like,
Yeah.
don't do that. And so I just kind of move, or I'll kind of, and so she said, how are you going to get a husband if you can't even hold? And I was like, So I really have to learn, like when they touch me, it comes from the abuse. And so when my kids touch me, I have to kind of be like, okay, I got to be soft. And then, being hard all the time, being militant is because, again, we had to do all of this by ourselves. And so compassion is out the window because now I got to learn how to strategize. I got to learn how to go to war. I got to learn how to fight. I got to learn what tools to use. I got to learn how to put on the armor. I got to learn how to wear the hat. I got to learn how to go out here and catch the wild game and bring that back to back to the camp. So being soft, if you think about the women, if you ever see the movie called The Red Tent, you'll see the difference in how the men were as compared to the women. The women would actually go into the red tent. I remember we had did this one a long time ago, about 3 years ago when we first started, probably year two. And I remember telling you guys about the red tent. It would be these women, they would go into the tent and the elders would be there with the younger girls and they would just be in there combing each other's hair. You have to watch the movie. It's a good movie. I want to say it's about, was it Rahab? Not Rahab. It wasn't about Rahab. It was about Rachel. I think it was about Rachel and this. But anyway, the red tent. If you see the movie The Red Tent, you'll kind of understand when I'm talking about compassion, where they didn't have to go out and hunt and go to war and do all the things. They got to be at home. They got to nurture the children. They got to love on the children. They got to be there. They got to see the kids grow up. They got to do all the things. They got to be soft. And so learning how to be soft is like at 54, I'm learning how to be soft, and learning the capacity of, well, my mom, I remember my mom, she was dainty. She was a little, but she was a masculine dainty. When it comes down to strategy, she was the one that, she dressed nice, had the makeup, had the perfume, all that. But then there was a part of her that was very militant, taught you resources, go out, do this. And she gave you all the knowledge. But, I get where you're coming from with that part when it comes down to masculine. So I have to just say to myself, God, just let me be open for my husband when he comes. And when I asked that, these girls started like touching. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, why do you want to hold my hand? They want to be in the car, and then the baby will reach over and she'd be on her phone, just on her phone, scrolling on her phone, and want me to hold her hand. Girl, if you don't. And I used to be like, stop it. But now I just kind of like, I got to roll with it because my husband's going to want to do that. He's going to want to be driving and just reach out and want to hold my hand. He's going to want to touch my, come lay in my lap. Got to learn how to do those things. Got to
You
learn.
know what I had to learn? I think as me going through a spiritual awakening, that's what I think that coming and finding you had me to go through that spiritual awakening when I was getting them readings and all that stuff from you.
Mhm.
And I think that's what kind of softened me. And that's what humbled my mouth more than ever before. Because I don't
Ooh.
find myself that quick to go.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Um, I'm more patient with it a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And I find myself a little more softer than who I used to be. You know, don't get it wrong. I can still find that
Now
girl to come.
listen, she
You know what
come
I'm
out every
saying?
now and again. I promise you.
Yeah. But I try to use the softness and stuff like that. And I think when I was with the last guy I was with, I think what made me soft with him is because I had did a self check. I said I need to learn how to love on a man, and not just love on a man sexually, but love on a man intimate, love on a man
Ooh, that's good.
mentally, love on a
Mhm.
man physically. I had to learn how to love a man. So I learned how to love him in ways that's beyond he probably ever had in his life.
Yeah, you
You
got him
know,
sprung. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah. But at the same time, it showed me that I do desire that and never knew it. But once, I found out I do like it, I think, I can love on a man. I
Yeah.
mean, and I'm not, like I said, it's just not the physical love, because that's natural. Come to women's know how to just go into the bedroom and do what you got to do, whether you want to or not.
Anybody can do that.
Right. But I had to learn, like, oh, let me give you a kiss before you leave. Oh,
Mhm.
let me let you grab my hands and hold my hand in the car. And I started being okay with that. Oh, when you say I love you, I'm like, okay, I guess I love you too, boo.
Oh, you said I guess I do.
But I had to learn that. It was, some people don't understand. That's a learning from a person.
Mhm.
It's not natural for me.
Yeah.
It's not natural. But if you say you want something, I got you. You say you need, because that's my act of love. But I had to switch it around and start developing what is your act of love.
Yeah.
And some people act of love is not always giving and buying. It's
But
just
that's why we need to learn our love languages.
mm-hmm.
So once you learn your love language, you'll understand a lot more of the things that you like. Um, look at this word. Spell it, Tarina. Sorry. So you'll learn more about yourself. So when I started on my journey, this was like years ago, just being in church. And I remember I started at this other church, and I started going to counseling, and I started learning the love language. So there's five. Learning my love language, I like being given gifts, and then I like quality time. And for me, that doesn't necessarily mean that, we don't have to be doing anything. It's just like you're just sitting here. That's fine. And so I have to tell my kids that, like, I don't mind you being around me. If you want to come, just sit. You don't have to do nothing else. Just sit. And if I come out of my room and I know you're here, I'm okay. Um, and the gifts, I love the gifts. I love things that are given from the heart. Like, I love that. And then my thing is, I don't necessarily say, I don't know what I do to like to give that back to people. But I can say I like being around my friends. So this kind of thing, like if I'm hosting something, I want people to come over and then we're going to cook a meal and we're going to eat and we're going to drink and we're going to have a good time. So I like doing that. So I like quality time with other people as well. So I think that's my thing is the duality of that. Like I like being around people. Although I'm a natural introvert, it's so crazy, but I like being just quality time. We don't have to be, we could just be at a movie theater. We could be just sitting here reading a book together. We could be doing that, but that's my thing. So you should, at this point in your journey, I think that's maybe something that you should start is learning your love language, because there's a test. So you can take a test, and then it'll tell you like where you're at. Now, here's the thing. We have all 5 of them. I think and in the test, we all have all 5, but more of them are amplified than the others. So mine's was quality time and gift giving. So that's where I was at. But we all utilize them all in a certain way, but more amplified. So I can send you the link so you could take a test to do that. But I want to get on this.
Question. One question. So, Sakia, which would be your love language?
Well, when I took the test, I did it last year. It was like acts of service, gift giving. I know physical touch was way at the bottom.
I think we all
Physical
That's
touch
so
was
bad.
it is, don't touch me. Like, touch me when it's time to color. After that, like, go take your carry-on and go somewhere.
You guys are
Like you said, your daughter touched my daughter.
just
I
please
got used
don't.
to it now. I'm used to it now, so it's just like sometimes I'll be like, "Girl, like," she be like, "Oh, you don't want nobody to hug you or go on
And
here." How
it
you supposed
offends them. You could
to
see it. It's like, and I could
They
just
just
sense
say,
it.
"How you supposed to get a man? You don't even want your own child to touch you?" And I'm like, you know
Yeah.
what?
So I got a question. Is Tara on here?
It was
Yeah, I
words of
see her.
affirmation, something
Huh?
else.
Oh,
It
Hello?
was,
words of affirmation. Mine's is like maybe that's 3, but then that physical touch. I
I
don't know.
think it's at the
I haven't
bottom.
taken the test since it's been about 4 years now.
I took
Yeah,
it
but I
last.
still think man's is at the bottom.
I make guys when I meet guys and we be talking. I make them take it because I want to know.
Miss Tara, she wanted to ask you.
So what is your love language?
Acts of service.
Act of service.
Mm-hmm. That was my top one. Acts of service. Then it was uh gift giving or something, whatever it was. And then it was words of affirmation and something else. And then physical touch was like the last one.
Yeah, physical touch is my last one. I don't even have to do it with that part because I already know I still got to work on that. Don't grab my hand. Don't do all that. I'm still working it out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still working on that. But if you got a gift for me and you want to do it, if you got act of service, I would say too. And spending time with me would be my third one. But the physical touches, we can do, but we can't constantly be
Yeah, I
touching on
think
it.
my low ones was physical touch and spending time with me. Like, I'm a loner and I'm trying to get out of that. I'm okay with being by myself, but at the same time,
I
it's
think
like,
because we've become accustomed to that. That's just where we're at because we haven't had it. And so we're just used to being by ourselves that if somebody came in and infiltrated the camp, we're just like, because why are you here? And this could be the thing that'll save our life. This could be the person that'll be here that'll change the whole trajectory of our life. And we sit up here like, why are you here? No, get out of here. What? And we're just like, because why are we like that?
We had to
Knowing
do it
that
for
this
them.
is the thing that we asking for. We are literally asking for a man.
Mm-hmm.
And then this man comes in the camp and he's standing there. He's like, and we're like, why, what? It's crazy. It's so crazy that we do that.
this is my new read.
What is that? The God.
The man God has for you. Uh-oh.
Who's that by?
Stephen Labossiere. He be on TikTok. It's a black guy. It's a good little book. It's a good little read. It tells you about like I was just reading a part about inconsistency. Like let me read. Like they have it like looks versus attraction, lack of affection. It's like different little parts of it.
I think we all might need the book. Hell.
The last book we were supposed to read, y'all didn't read it. So just if you
No,
get
we
get
still
it.
at the book. You didn't keep going. Cause I used
Ma'am,
to get
because
on
y'all
work.
wasn't coming. So anyway,
I would get
what's
on
your
at work and it'd be
Yeah, because we
I
supposed to
did.
write a letter to money. We were supposed to yeah, write a letter and we were supposed to read it. We were gonna
and then
read it.
I'm waiting for y'all on a Sunday and nobody showed up. But anyway, go ahead and read your part because I'm not gonna go back and forth with y'all because I know what I was doing. Go ahead and read that.
I ain't arguing. I know I knew it.
Go ahead and read it.
Like this one says, do not let mixed signals distract you. The next issue is mixed signal. A lot of men confuse the hell out of you, and it makes no sense. They say I don't want a girlfriend, but behave like a boyfriend.
Come
They say
on.
I don't want commitment, but want to regulate who you talk to or who you entertain. It gets downright confusing. They want to cuddle and do all this sweet stuff, but when you ask where this is going, then he says, "Whoa, slow up! You're moving too fast. What are you doing?" He said, yes, this is confusing, but guess what? An inconsistent action is a consistent answer. And the answer is he is not serious. He is not ready or willing to be the man you need. And it goes and talk about stuff.
That's that black dude with the big fluffy beard, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
he's really good. I
July.
like him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have
I
to
want
get
to
that.
share something with y'all. Can I share?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
look like you needed to.
Huh?
I said you look like you needed to.
I just want to share it. So over the weekend, Mother's Day, but so Saturday I was supposed to go out. I got cute, I got dressed, and I was so disappointed because everybody canceled. Okay. So I was sitting in the back, drinking my little wine, and this question just popped in my head like, are you lonely? And I was finally like, no, I'm not lonely. I'm not lonely, but you know what? Because I've been doing a lot of inner work, a lot of shadow work. And I said, I finally realized what sovereignty is. Soulless, just being and okay with it. So I just wanted to share. That's a win for me.
That's awesome. Because I
I
just
think
said
I'm lonely.
I told God I was lonely.
I am. I'm lonely.
Let me
Not lonely. Not lonely, but lonely.
I'm not, let me say this. I'm not lonely. I'm just ready to have that other part of me.
Yeah.
It's like a limb is like there, it's missing. And I don't know it was over a weekend. It wasn't Mother's Day, but it was a weekend. I'm home by myself, kids are gone, and I was just like, you know what, God, I said, I would love to wake up and have me and my husband go to grocery store and then just do the things that I already do. I would love to have someone just next to me doing
Doing.
those things as well.
Mm-hmm.
Where we could just sit and maybe just do just little things like that. So then I asked the question like, God, am I lonely? And then I was like, well, I'm not lonely. I just know that that part of me is missing. Like that piece it's missing. And so, I go along with it, but it's just like, yeah, like, okay, but I got to do things differently. So I did a thing. And then, I thought, well, maybe this will get me out of my thing. So we have a lady local here. Her name is Such, and she is performing at the end of the month at this local venue. And I said, I'm going. Now the normally what I would do is I would call baby daddy and be like, hey, you want to go and da da da. But what I've found is that I don't know, this is not the topic of conversation that we were supposed to be talking about tonight, so I'm just gonna roll with it. But what I found is that you remember how I tell you guys you want to be seen with me, but then you don't want to be seen with me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we'll do things what you want to do, but and then even when we do it, you want to do, it's like you kind of, you're standoffish, you're off to the side. People know, but they don't know. And so it's like doing things like those kind of things. Like if I say, hey, I got us tickets to an event and let's go. Why do I got to pay for it? Why do I got to pay for the drinks? Why do I got to pay for the food? It's just like, come on. Well, because I just, what did he say to me, y'all, that just blew me? He said, and I quote, I think I'm going to try to quote it. I've been out here. He said, we were talking about relationships, and he said, the men out here, well, no, the women, they want you to take them out on dates and they want you to pay for all this stuff and they want you to do all this other stuff, da 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 da. And sometimes the pee is trash. The coloring is trash. They don't do a lot of things. You want me to come feed you, you don't rub my head, you don't do this, you don't do that. And I thought, what? And he says to me, mind you, why do that when I could just get it for free? I said, excuse me? Could not believe. And I said, remember when I told you you need to watch what you say to me? He said, yeah, I said that right there. We were sitting right here. And I said, excuse me? So it's like weaning myself from him. Like we don't interact with each other like we used to. He made a comment because came over and I told him, baby has to go get her wisdom teeth. And thanks for telling me. The inconsistency, we know you don't care. But what does that matter? Well, don't nobody, I'll do, the narcissistic. Ah. I'll have to do it when I'm not recording it. But okay, hold on. Let me pause it so I could do it. All right, so that's the story. Anyway, as far as like that, Miss Tara, I think I've gotten to that point too of I'm not lonely. I want better. And I don't want to say I want because I'll keep wanting it. I had a conversation with God today too. The requests, like I'm requesting better. I'm requesting a better partner. And I seen this girl on TikTok that says, no, it was on Pinterest. And she was saying, I want to be obsessed with myself. I want to be so obsessed with me. I thought, ooh, what would that feel like, y'all? To be so obsessed with me that I was driving, I was going to pick up my daughter from work, and I was like, man, like, what would that be? And I was like, because who is she? You know? And I started talking out loud. I was like, she's this, she's that, she's beautiful, she's smart, she's exceptional, she's knowledgeable, she's got a lot of wisdom, she smells amazing. I was like, oh, being so obsessed with me. Bitch, I don't care if you don't like me. I don't care. I don't care. I was like, how being obsessed, like, what does she do? What does she wear? Who are her friends? Where does she go? Does she go out to dinner by herself? And if she does, where would she go? You know, what kind of lifestyle does she lead? Because she's so obsessed with herself. What does her bank account look like? Being so obsessed with me. All right, it's 8:00. But anyway, let's go ahead. I wanted to do this real fast. So I was talking to God last week when I asked God what we were going to talk about, and He said the trickster. Y'all remember Jacob, right? The trickster. So Jacob was the trickster. And so I was like, okay, so what are you saying? And I thought, are there people out there that are um, like trying to trick us out of things? But when you look up Jacob, Jacob means a heel gripper, a healer, or one who supplants. And so when you look at that, so the topic this week, I was like, okay, God, what do you want? And he said that. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? So when we kind of put it together for us as women, it's like um the sacred trickster, embracing the wisdom. Because when we look at Jacob, Jacob had a lot of wisdom in how he did a lot of things. Okay. And navigating shadows on the spiritual path. Okay. So our goal in our learning today is to help us on our spiritual journeys to explore a multifaceted nature of the trickster, the trickster. Um, the archetype of that, as embodied by the biblical Jacob, to do two things: to identify both its empowering and potentially hindering aspects, and to consciously integrate these insights for our deeper spiritual growth and our self-awareness. How ironic is it that we're sitting here and we're talking about our growth, our development? Before you guys got on, Zakia was telling me how she's, like she's integrated into this person that's just like, bitch, I don't care about you because we don't care. Normally she's crashing. I remember years ago, she's crying, we're going through all these things. We've gone through that emotional part of ourselves to where we're mastering that emotions. But when we talk about Jacob, um, so it's being the understanding of who he is. So exploring that trickster part of it. Uh-oh. So when we talk about the ego, it's like through the lens of that of Jacob. How do we, get into the spiritual aspect of it on our journey? Okay. So when we talk about Jacob, Jacob was cunning. He was ambitious, and he had his moments of deception. Okay. As well as he transformed, right? He became this person that was no longer Jacob, but he became Israel, right? Um, he steals a birthright. He became a blessing. Um, and his name has changed. So when we look at how we've gone through life, um, our birthright was stolen. Okay. We were young when we were younger, birthright was stolen. Everything, those parts of us, um, Tangi had kind of touched on it when she was younger, how when she was young, those things were stolen from her. And it's like that birthright, that piece of us that we were born into, that birthright. Then we get down to the blessings. Then we get married. We have our children. We go through these things, we go through all these. And then now when we met each other, I feel like we were wrestling with the angel at that point when we all met, like wrestling with the angel. And now here we are, and our name has changed. So it's like we've gone from one name to the name of like Israel. So um so we've already shared our thoughts on, what our feelings were about what the term trickster is. It's one who kind of, takes over, beguiles you. So that was what I was doing, was looking up the word trickster. Hold on. I hope I'm spelling it right. I don't have my glasses on, y'all, so I can't see nothing.
Trickster.
Trick.
Tri.
Spell it. Trick.
Tri. I think it's KSTR. I don't think the C is in it, right?
Oh,
Let
it's
me
in
see.
there. Yeah, that's right. Trick, like trickster. Okay, so the trickster is a person who cheats or deceives people. So when I'm talking about it for us in this group of women, it's like we have deceived ourselves and we have tricked ourselves out of a lot of things. When we look at Jacob, Jacob tricked his brother out of a birthright, tricked his own daddy to bless him for something that he shouldn't even had, right? So when we talk about Jacob, Jacob did a lot of things, but in the end, he was still a blessed individual. Y'all, we have done a lot of things. We have, I mean, when I say we have done a lot of things, but in the end, we are still blessed women. It doesn't discount who we are. We are still blessed women because of who we stand for. And I wrestled with this angel. I wrestled with this angel to become who I am today. Okay. I had to go through a lot of things just to become Tarina. That's why I tell people, listen, you can't. Back then, when I hit 18, probably during the abuse up until like 40 something, please, you could have told me anything and I'd have believed it. Now it's like, baby, I fought too hard to get to here, and I'm not gonna have anybody try to take that from me. You know, I'm not even gonna steal my own birthright. So when we talk about was that scripture, let what God has put together, let no man put asunder. He put you together. Don't let no man take this from you. Let no man mess it up. And I tell people, you can't even mess that up. If God told you that you are supposed to be a personal chef and you're supposed to do these things, you can't even mess that up. If he told me that I'm supposed to be doing these conferences, I told God the other day, I said, listen, I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. But I don't want to leave this earth not doing what you have, petitioned me to do and what you and I sat and agreed upon. I said, God, now I remember sitting with you before I had even be. He said, I knew you before you were even in your mother's womb. I knew you. You and I had a conversation. I sat with you and I told you, okay, so this is what I want. I want you to go down here and I want you to do this, this, and this. I said, God, it's been 21 years. I said, and I haven't done nothing. I said, so let me tell you I'm sorry because I haven't done what I need, what you told me to do. And so I said, I don't want to leave this earth not doing that, and I have tricked myself out of a lot of things just based off of the conversations that had been um, told to me and the things that I learned and that I watched, the behaviors of other people telling me that, you can't do it. But if he told you that you're supposed to do a thing, you can't even talk yourself out of that. You can't talk yourself out of a thing that was predestined. Okay? That's pre-planned. I pre-planned you to go and do this thing for the people. You can't mess that up. Okay? So what we're going to do is it's like unpacking the good of the trickster for our spiritual journey. So we're going to focus on and I did a worksheet for it too. So if you want the worksheet, let me know and I'll send it to you. But we're going to focus on how the positive aspects of the trickster or the archetype has the trickster archetype as seen in Jacob can be empowering on our spiritual path. So what it does is it's like this resourcefulness. Jacob had this resourcefulness about himself, and it's like this adaptability. How many of us have gone through and Tangi, like it's dead on. She talked about it. I had to be resourceful. I had to be a masculine. I had to do the things. And when we talk about a masculine part of us, we think about Jacob, that archetype, we had to be resourceful. We had to, invent these ways to make sure that the home was taken care of, that we were taken care of, that all these things are taken care of. So it's like we foster this adaptability and we foster this this aspect of it. So it says, how can the trickster spirit foster resourcefulness and the adaptability to adapt to the unexpected challenges or detours on your spiritual journey? So think of Jacob's ability to navigate Laban's manipulation. Remember when he was getting married to Rachel and Leah? Remember that? And he said, I want your daughter. He worked for Laban for 28 years. Was it 14 years or was it 17? I mean, 28. It was probably 14 years because I think he did 7 for Leah And then he gave him, he wanted Rachel, but he gave him Leah. And then he worked for him another 7 years, and he gave him, so he worked for 14 years for a man who he had to endure. And because he loved Rachel so much, he was like, I'll stay. I'll endure it. I'm gonna go ahead and stay because I love her. Right? So that's a challenge. How many of us have gone through those kind of challenges where we had to adapt to people's manipulations, their tactics, the way they would, even in our workplace and even just in our lives with friends, how they manipulated us and how we've stayed for so long, you know? So also the challenging of the status quo. In what ways might a healthy trickster energy encourage you to question limiting beliefs, your societal expectations, or even rigid religious doctrines that don't resonate with your inner truth? So you want to consider Jacob's challenging of the established birthright order. Jacob's like, listen, I know he came first, but I'm gonna go ahead and take that. Okay. So when we talk about it, Esau was first, and then Jacob follows behind him. The birthright would always go to the firstborn. Jacob's like, listen, I'm no, mm-mm. And even with us now today, remember when we were in church and they would always, and we're talking about relationships at this point. Remember, they would always tell us that we need to find a godly man. You need to find a man in the church. You need to find a man to stay with the man in church. You need to not be unequally yoked. You need to stay with a person that believes in God, whatever. Those kind of doctrines, those kind of beliefs that they would make us stay in a relationship because that's just what it is. There was a guy on TikTok that was in his car. I don't know if you guys ever seen him, but he was talking about those things. He was like, if your mom and your sister, we're going through what your grandma went through a long time ago. He said, would you want your mom and your sister going through that? They stayed because that's just what it was. Nowadays, women is just like, no, I'm not taking that. We set the standards. Now we're setting standards. We're setting, we're establishing things. We're not letting society expectations, because by right, we all should have a husband. We should have been married 30 some odd years by now, right? Or societal norms telling us that, well, your daughter shouldn't be gay. Who said? Society, I remember I used to go through that thing of thinking, you're supposed to get married. You're supposed to have, you're supposed to graduate from high school. You're supposed to go to college. You're supposed to get married. You're supposed to have a kid. You're supposed to buy a house. You're supposed to live happily ever after, like a Cinderella story. That's societal norms. The societal expectation tells us that we're supposed to do a certain thing and live a certain way. So limiting beliefs, believing that, well, you can't have that. That's not meant for you. You're not meant to graduate from college. You're not meant to have a husband. You're not meant to have the happily ever after life. The thing that limits you, right? I'm not supposed to be a millionaire. Oh, you shouldn't have this business and you shouldn't be doing all things. Okay. So we've talked about a lot of these things on this call, like right now, before we even got into the lesson. So we've kind of tapped into a lot of things, but I wanted to, talk about it. So the intuition and the inner knowing, Tara just spoke about that today. The trickster often operates on instinct and cleverness. How can you cultivate your intuition and your inner knowing as a guiding force on your spiritual path, even when it seems unconventional? Am I lonely? Nah, nah. And they would think that we were. I'm not lonely. I'm okay. I will say I'm okay, but I would love to have a partner. Would love to have someone, you know, balancing me out, because, we all off kilter, but I would love to have the balance. Okay. So when we're talking, if we're, when we're thinking of the tarot cards, it's is it the Two of Pentacles where there's balance, or, is it the Justice card where they have the scale? We're tipping the scale. We've tipped the scale. But that inner question that you ask, like, God, am I lonely? And you're just like, nah. And you recognize, no, I'm not lonely. I'm not at all.
Mm.
And what was the answer that you got in that intuition and inner knowing?
You asking me?
Yeah.
Serenity. Like I'm finally able to say I'm able to sit with me and love me, and I'm okay. You
Yeah.
know, I'm good with that because I've always served others and did for others and did so much for everyone else that I never had the time for me. So to
Mm-hmm.
sit in space and no one's asking me for anything and me just being with me made me feel like it's something. It was off for me because I'm not used to it.
Yeah.
I'm not just being with me. Or
Mm-hmm.
being able to have my thoughts and hear my creativity, the thoughts come to me and be like, oh,
Ooh.
so, and write it down and be like, I need to work on that. Work on the things that I need to work on.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a good thing.
Yeah.
I looked at the word soulless. I think that was my word. SOLACE. Soulless.
So like winter
Yeah.
solstice?
So it was soulless. Let me look it up. Now I gotta find it because now I want to
Thank
share it.
you.
But it was that was the word. I know you're a word person, but that was my
I am.
word.
I'm a word person.
Where is yep. Soulless over loneliness. I got a whole thing going on here. Like I have really been dealing with me.
And that's where
Really.
you should be. And that's where that's at this is where we're at. It's like, I want to be in this bubble. And just to say that I want to be so obsessed with me, I thought, oh God, that sounds shallow. He was like, why? Because society says it, it sounds like it's egotistical. Okay,
You want
spell
me
the
to-
word for me.
It's SOLACE.
Solace.
Soulless. So it's that
Solace. Solace.
solid. It's that sacred space of quietness and rest where you're not abandoned, just unburdened. You're not lonely, you're finally with yourself. That's not loneliness, that's sovereignty. You spent a lifetime nurturing others, and now you're pouring back into the cup that poured out so much. This space is your sanctuary of self.
Mm,
Yeah. So it
that's a
says
good
so.
word.
Yes, solace is peace, but it's a very specific kind. Solace is the comfort you feel in the stillness, the ease that settles into your soul when no one needs you for a moment. It's the kind of peace that doesn't require noise, people, or probing, just presence. It's healing, it's soft, it's yours. Solace.
That's good. I like that. I like
That was
that. So, in that, humor and lightness. How can embracing a sense of humor and lightness help you navigate the sometimes serious and intense aspects of your spiritual growth? Think of the playful, cunning, sometimes think of the playful cunning sometimes associated with the trickster. So I don't know if Jacob had anything that was like playful in that moment, but um, breaking the illusions. The trickster can reveal hidden truths about disrupting established patterns. How can you use discernment to see through illusions or societal conditioning that might hinder your spiritual evolution? So again, there's a workbook that I'll give if you guys want it, I'll give you that. But these are like questions that you can ask. Again, it's recorded, so you can go back and ask the questions. Examining the bad of the trickster and its pitfalls. So we've all gone through these little pitfalls, where we hinder ourselves. So what we're going to, in this part, is like exploring the potential negative manifestations of the trickster archetype as seen in Jacob's flaws and how they can hinder your spiritual growth, deception and dishonesty. We usually are deceiving ourselves and we lie to ourselves. We're dishonest with ourselves about how we're feeling. Even in that space of like, am I lonely? You could have lied to yourself and be like, no. But you were like, not really, I'm not. But what is this feeling that I'm feeling? Owning it and honoring that feeling. So it says, how can tendencies toward deception or manipulation create barriers to authenticate connection with yourself, others, and the divine on your spiritual journey? Consider the consequences of Jacob's early deception. So when we look at that, the earliest deception is when he tricked his brother out of the birthright. When he said, you go and give me your birthright and I'll give you something to eat. I'll go get you something to eat, but you just go ahead and just, you know. So a lot of us have probably done that. If you go do this, I'll do this. And it's not with other people, it's with ourselves. Okay, so if I do this, then I won't do this. But if I do this, then it's doing this. And so sometimes we get into those messes where we deceive ourselves of thinking like, you know, we've had these relationships, or, you know, we're not in the bad financial, like, it's not that bad. I'm not that bad. Lying to ourselves about our money. Well, no, it's not that bad, but we know it probably is. The next one is ego and self-serving ambition. How might the unchecked ambition or a focus solely on personal gain, even under the guise of spiritual advancement, lead you astray from genuine spiritual growth and service? What that means is this. I was talking about this the other day, and I think I probably did a TikTok on it. But when we were in church, in the church setting, our title would usually get in the way of the service that we were providing for a person. And so it was almost as if the intercessor in me and the healer in me, that the title got in the way more than me doing the service for the people, doing it authentically. So when we look at Jesus, Jesus just did the thing. He just went out, he taught, he didn't care, whatever. So he had the heart of service. Whereas some people, the Pharisees, they get into this space of they have to have the title, they have to have the robe, they have to have all these things. And it's in that space of don't let your title affect the service that you're providing. So when I was working at this company. I don't know if I ever told you guys this story, but I remember I got this job and I was the manager, and I had never been a manager at any point. And so I remember just, you know, going in and I remember I kept saying, I'm the manager, I'm the manager, I'm the manager. So I let my title get ahead of me rather than providing the service to the clients that were walking in the door and the people that were in the building. So that is what that means. It's like, don't let your ego and self-serving ambition, like that title, probably nothing, but if there's some, call TRA and ask her, there's some, hold on, you guys. Okay, so it's like, don't let the title override the service and your growth. Okay, or don't think that you're so egotistical that you are that you're better than everybody else, but you're really not. Okay. Avoidance and shadow work. Could a trickster tendency manifest as cleverly avoiding uncomfortable truths or necessary shadow work on your spiritual path? Sometimes what we do is we will avoid, and I'm an avoider. Rather than me deal with a situation, I'll avoid it. And what that looks like is if, like, when it comes down to my finances, sorry. Okay. So the avoidance. So when I'm looking at my finances, I'll avoid it rather than me deal with it. It's like I avoid it. Spiritual work, I don't know. I don't want to say shadow work. I don't think I've avoided that. But what I do is I don't go into my meditation like I should. So there's that. Erosion of trust and connection. How can manipulative or dishonest behaviors damage trust in your spiritual community and hinder your ability to form to form authentic connections. I think we've all gone through that, and we see it all over. Like, it's just going rampant where who do you trust? And then, a lot of people are getting into, all these practices, and it's like, who can I trust within the practice, rather than it being, can I trust you with a reading and know that you're going to read and not, give me something bad. Spiritual bypassing is, could a superficial understanding of trickster qualities be used by and to bypass genuine emotional processing or accountability of the name of divine in the name of divine play? Um, there's a gentleman that's on TikTok, Christian something, but he talks about spiritual bypassing. And if you go to his page, if you want to connect to his page, he talks about how the church would bypass us spiritually. And I really want to say, if I'm moving correctly, it's they will not acknowledge what you're going through. So they'll bypass the spiritual aspect of it, and then they'll get back to these norms, or these ways of making you feel bad because you came to the church for a certain thing. And so what I felt was I was dying, like my soul was dying in the church. I'm still showing up, but the soul of me was dying because I wasn't getting what I needed from the church in that moment. So if I needed prayer, I was being judged on prayer. If I needed, mental help or emotional help, I was being judged for all of those things. So now we're going to get into integrating the trickster for our empowerment, specifically connect these insights to the unique experiences and empowerment of women, of us while we're on our spiritual journey, reclaiming your power dynamics. And we've talked about this all night, just reclaiming the dynamics. Historically, it says women have sometimes had to navigate patriarchal structures with cleverness and indirectness. How can a conscious understanding of the trickster archetype help women reclaim their power authentically and ethically on their spiritual path? The second one is honoring your intuition and your wisdom, knowing that, is the thing. How can you embrace the knowing, even when it defies the logic? So one of the things like I'm learning while I'm at work is my project manager, he'll call me more than he'll call anybody else. And that's because I don't want to misuse the gift, but I walk in the gift and I'll use it, and I'll give him like, I don't think this is going to work. Now he doesn't know where it's coming from. It's like I have to sit back and I have to be silent and I have to move accordingly. But it's the knowing, even if it defies the logic, be a powerful aspect of your spiritual guidance, akin to the trickster clever instincts. Women are often deeply connected to their intuition. So how can embracing that intuition help navigate you through, that trickster moment? Navigating societal expectations. Again, y'all should be married. You should be this. Your credit score should be this. How can a healthy trickster spirit empower women to challenge limiting societal expectations and forge their own unique spiritual paths rather than conforming to prescribed roles? It is happening every day on TikTok. I mean, every day you are seeing women taking back their power and just like define the expectations that society has for us and tells us that we're supposed to be a certain way. Being ridiculed, they're like, I don't care. This is what I have. When we as women set a standard, I think people get to a point of like, how dare you? It's like, how dare you even want to forge forward in that place? How dare you say that you're not lonely? How dare you contradict that? So it's like that how dare you moment. But women are coming back and they're just like, listen, I'll be fine with being by myself. Rather than be with somebody and hang around with friends that don't mean me any good, I'll do that. Embracing the shadow self, just as Jacob wrestled with his shadow, it says, how can women courageously explore and integrate their own shadow aspects, recognizing that even perceived negative trait can hold valuable lessons for energy and growth. Again, we just talked about that. Being by ourselves, I'm okay. I'm fine. I am fine, right? Because I'm gonna be. I know I'm gonna be okay. Honoring that part of myself, moving with that part of myself, wrestling with it says with his shadow or the angel, wrestling with the angel, saying, "Listen, I'm not going to leave here until you bless me. I'm not going to leave that part of me, that childlike part of me, until I get blessed." And here, finding strength in vulnerability. While the trickster can be cunning, true spiritual strength often lies in vulnerability. Miss Tangi spoke on that. It's like being open to love my children, being open to love the man that's going to come to me, being so obsessed with me, being so open with me that I become obsessed with me. That is vulnerability. Being able to be honest with myself in the moments. Like if I do get lonely one day, yeah, I'm gonna honor that. Like, yeah, I am lonely. Or if my credit is like, well, I don't have the money today, that's fine. But honoring that place. How can women balance their inner trickster with authenticity and emotional honesty? We just did that right now. Okay. So now we want to get into reflecting on our relationships. And we've done all of this today. Where do you see aspects of the good trickster emerging in your spiritual journey? Are there any bad trickster tendencies you recognize that you might be hindering your growth? That could be like, um, you know, being manipulative or gossiping or, your characters, your attributes, the things of those natures, like who you are. How can you consciously cultivate the positive aspects of this archetype? Your resourcefulness. We all know how to do this. Your intuition, challenging limitations. I think we do need to move more into the intuitive part of ourselves and really tap into that place. So I have the worksheet. So what I'll do is I'll create it and then I'll send it to you guys. I didn't want to be on long because I have to go to sleep because I have a long day tomorrow. But I'll do the worksheet, and if you guys want it, let me know and I'll send it to you. But having this conversation tonight really just brought that to play of learning Jacob and learning the two sides of Jacob, the trickster. There's a good and bad side. And I really believe people always thought Jacob to be, he's a deceiver, church, they taught you he's a deceiver, but he's a deceiver in a good way, where he changed the societal norms within, the religious sect of his family. So with that being said, y'all have a good night. Uh-oh, what's going on over there?
My head itching.
Uh-huh. So we're going to end on that note. And then, like I said, if you want the worksheet, let me know. And then I will send that out to you.
Sounds good.
All right, my guys.
Well, thank you, ladies. It was a good night once again.
Yeah, and thanks for sharing, Miss Tangi.
Thanks for all of us sharing, and thanks for you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Good night, ladies.
Night.
Good night. I'll see y'all next week.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.